And alright, we're just going to break away for a second here, and we're going to come back with colonies, because it takes a little while to actually get that far. I've now finished researching the New World's protocol, which if we get it researched, we will see. Research Society Technologies unlocks the colony ship, which I've also gone to our spaceport and constructed one. They are rather quite expensive, unfortunately. 350 minerals. And on top of that, have a huge upkeep of freaking 8. 8 energy for one of these boys. And that's only just the start. So, we've noted around here that there are other places that we can go. This system in particular is very good, housing a extremely large planet. You can see size 24 there. So we're going to send our colony ship here to enter orbit. We can't colonize this planet yet, because it hasn't been surveyed. So we're going to tell our science ship to get its ass over here and survey this planet so we can colonize it. Get to work. Ion trail. Oh yeah, that was for a thing I got here. I'm supposed to recover sublight exploration probes that we sent out while we were not a spacefaring civilization.
Research complete.
Alien proto-civilization. Ah, not Stone Age primitives. As you'll note, this means that, thanks to our current stance on xeno-interference, that prohibits us from colonizing this world. Alright, in that case, come on, plan number 2. We'll take 21. We can take 21. Hey, there we go. So, if we go down onto a surface, man, this thing is covered in glaciers and all sorts of other things, and most of it is completely uninhabitable. Colonize planet, and then we have to select a location to drop our basic colonial home. Now, it should be noted that the central building gives adjacency bonuses, so it's not a good idea to place it in a corner where only 2 slots would get an adjacency bonus. We'll demonstrate this over on Alexandria here. You'll note that there's an adjacency effect of +1 of everything there, only if it's being produced by the building, so power plant, adjacency. Adjacency. And a little bit of adjacency there. Alright, so now this thing's going to enter orbit and proceed to build the colony. It'll take a little while. Has gently touched down on the snowfields of Hajpok Haksazab in a deep valley near the equator. A landing site nestled with large mountain chain and well protected from the elements. The ship has been permanently converted into an administrative headquarters in the new settlement, and its reactor core in process of being removed so that it may serve as the colony's temporary power source. Hundreds of small tents and prefab shelters have sprung up around the former starship's massive hull as colonists begin to disembark in large numbers. The first Palmyrian city on an alien world. Gain 60 engineering research. Now, during this process, which will take about 14 months but can be reduced with technology, you will continue paying the effective resources. Oh, an anomaly. Sure. Research it. As this bar fills up, you will continue to pay 8 energy credits each month as maintenance. And only once this bar is filled up will it become a possible planet to build on. Science Officer Axon Zanking has issued a special report in King. They are none too pleased having been ordered to study Pentiment 4 where they found nothing of interest. Failed. That's the thing with anomalies. Sometimes you just fail. Nothing you can do about it. Alright. So, soon this little colonial bar will be filled up. And there's something to note here while this happens. On the Alexandrian world, on our surface here, we have the Planetary Administration. This is the central building. Unfortunately, we can choose a new research. Yay! Ooh, spaceports. The birth of space piracy. Oh dear. So now we'll have to deal with space pirates. That's not too big of a deal, though. And sure, basic combat rules. Doesn't matter. So once this bar fills up, we'll see that Habitable World Survey coming initiative. We will see that we will not actually have a planetary administration, but something else entirely. We will have what's called a reassembled ship shelter. And we'll talk about why that is bad and how we need to try and fix it as quickly as possible. So we go down to the surface here and we see a reassembled ship shelter, which provides 2 food and 1 food from the tile. This provides, as a building, 3 minerals, 3 food. And what gets worse here is in reassembled ship shelter plus 20% ethics divergence. So as long as the reassembled ship shelter is up, people are going to be very willing to change their ethics. And it gets even worse. Let's talk about why. If I wanted to build a building here, I can't actually build Hydroponics Farm 1, Mining Network 1, and Power Plant 1, or ever upgrade to those. They require a planetary administration. So, we have to change this ship shelter into a planetary administration. How do we do that, you ask? Well, that's a good question. Now, I suppose as an added benefit, these don't actually have a maintenance cost, but they're still pretty bad. In order to convert a ship shelter into a planetary administration, you must get a planet up to 5 pop. Now, very conveniently, because I've, any chance? No? Darn. No one wants to migrate. That's fine. One of the possible ways to do that is a spaceport. We talked about this before because you can get the orbital hydroponics. Unfortunately, since this is our first colony and we don't have very much money, it's not very good. But, you know, we can always just drop down at least a few hydroponics farms here and there. And we can actually just drag you over here so you'll just try and make food off that. Food is single-handedly the most important resource to gather until we reach 5 pop. Right now with our only 1 pop and slow-ish growth rate, it's going to take a little while. So we need to hold on to it for a little while. It's not going to produce very much, and more or less is just going to have been a giant resource sink until then. But once the planetary administration has been upgraded to, requires everything. This also gives an adjacency effect where the reassembled ship shelter does not. So it's very bad. And as a result, requires at least 5 pops on the planet. So keep that in mind. Also, can do the new society research. Hey, massive glacier removal. Gee, I wonder if that'll be useful. I can't imagine why this might be useful. No, not at all. A lot of planets have different kinds of tile blockers that you might need to remove. So there might be a terrifyingly noxious swamp on a tropical planet, you know, quicksand on an arid planet, or gigantic glaciers on an Arctic planet. So as you learn to colonize new planets, and keep that in mind, you do need technology to colonize planets. If we go to research here, as a starting technology for us, we actually had colonization Arctic world. So that's important. We do not have colonization for any other kind of world. We do not have that. That simply means that we're going to need to find and unlock those techs. And since you get new techs randomly, each time you finish researching a tech, it's completely random the next 3 you get. Finding the colonization techs can sometimes be a bit tricky. And with a little luck, though, you'll be able to get what you need. Though never count on it. On the plus side, though, at least we're going to get a second pop here. This extra pop will very conveniently consume 1 food, actually 0.9 food, but will produce 2 food thanks to the farm I put here, giving us a surplus, which will increase the growth rate. In addition, there are certain local edicts you can put here. If we give them a land of opportunity, which costs 112 influence, then that might help. There is one that you can research in the society tech that gives you plus 10% food, which is also very recommendable for new colonies. With the land of opportunity, excellent. So by leaving this pop unemployed, that means it's on a tile that produces nothing, among other reasons, I've managed to tell them, combined with the land of opportunity I put on the colony, that I want them to migrate. So over the next 18 months, they will slowly migrate to this planet, and we'll join them here, putting us ever closer to the 5 population we need in order to upgrade the ship shelter into a planetary administration and turn this into something that is functional. Because right now it's questionably worth it to build buildings that aren't farms, because we'll have to just upgrade them and pay most of the cost anyway. So unless you're in dire straits, It's generally recommended to just not bother building anything until you've constructed the reassembled ship shelter. Farms withstanding, since those do help you grow really quickly. Just my 2 cents on the matter, though. Thankfully, no matter what, you can always build a spaceport. And if you have the orbital hydroponics farm, well, that can help a lot. Isn't that right? Orbital hydroponics, +3 planetary food. That is very helpful, especially when you're trying to start up new colonies. Alright. And it's only going to be a matter of time before the migration year finishes. 5 months. Perfect. 4 months. And we're slowly growing at 3.7 a month. Could be worse. Alright, and slowly we've managed to establish this colony and start taking it into a whole new world. A whole new world. And with that, I think I can conclude this little tutorial. We figured out how to get started with colonizing empires, how to research technologies, how to talk to people questionably. Oh, they're up to cordial. They actually have a good attitude towards us. They've established an embassy with us, which is the equivalent of just improved relations button. So, by establishing an embassy and all that, maybe we can trade with them. Alright, so research agreements, eh? Oh man. So they're totally willing to trade up some research with us, which would give us a discount on 3 physics techs, 2 society techs, and 2 engineering techs. Would give them a discount on 2 physics techs, 2 society techs, and 1 engineering tech. They're actually ahead of us in technology. The AI does get some bonuses to that. So a research agreement here is actually good for us. Yeah, gives the other party minus 25% research costs for technologies that the polity of Tharbik have already researched for the duration of the trade deal. Definitely. Research complete. The research agreement is totally something we want with them. Especially because there's a good chance that their species... arid preference. Good. So they have a different preference than us. Yep. That means that it'll make the arid colonization cheaper because they have that tech. Because they started on that. Always upgrade that stuff when you can. Alright. And thanks to migration and other things, we're slowly developing this into actual proper colony. Research a little bit of orbital hydroponics. And in a matter of no time, we'll be ready to turn this into a full-fledged city. And have it actually start producing resources. So, with that concludes my tutorial. Oh hey, get rid of those as well. Yeah. This will be helpful. Woohoo, we can start clearing out these, note the yellow border, we can start clearing these out. Whereas we cannot clear out the volcano yet. Hey, that's 5, thanks to migrations. And this is why migration can be a very useful tool. Unfortunately, I'm poor as shit and can't actually afford a planetary administration. Sadness. Sadness, sadness, sadness. Research complete. But it's a basic. And on top of that, the planetary administration wouldn't even give any adjacency bonuses because it's surrounded by glaciers. Surrounded by glaciers. At least we tried though, right? At least we tried. Ooh, physics. Ooh, solar panel network. That's something you can put on a space station. Okay. And so now the extra growth. Yeah, we have more than enough food and population growth. Upgrade the planetary administration. With this, we will be able to do it. We'll be able to create a city. And basically the process of colonization just repeats this. Wait, colonize until you can get a planetary administration, then develop it, and so on. And then eventually we're going to have to start giving planets over to sectors. This is going to be the final bit of tutorial, I think. I always keep finding more things to cover. So, currently you have a sector limit that is entirely based on the number of planets that you own. As you can see from owned planets, I only have 0.5 extra sectors. But we have a base of 2 sectors, so that's good enough. Sectors means that a planet is not directly under your control, or a group of planets, I should say, are not directly under your control. Their buildings and everything are constructed by an AI, who will follow instructions. Let me demonstrate. So, we go to create new sector. And then I select the system here, and its colony to be its home. I unfortunately cannot give the capital to them. Not that I'd want to, but these sectors will be controlled by the AI. So, we now go to the Empire and we see this sector, which tells us how many planets there are, the total size, and how many people are actually living in the sector. The sector has a different resource pool than me, and I can set its focus. So, if I want to help out the sector, I can give it my resources, and you'll notice that I was actually spending them. And I can just simply put one governor in control of the sector, meaning that it's over multiple planets. So we'll assign a governor by recruiting a new one, and simply placing them in there. At any time if we need more leaders, such as scientists, admirals, generals, or governors, well, the leader screen's got us covered. There's also factions, but they're not really a big threat. Never are. They're just people who are unhappy in your empire. Generally, when you get a faction, you just click on the faction, figure out where they're from, and why they're unhappy. It's generally not too hard to fix. So, here we can see a military focus, a research focus, a financial focus, and an industrial focus. So, this will produce lots of minerals, this will produce lots of energy, and this will produce research, and that will focus on building defensive stations and generating minerals and energy credits in general balance. So it's good to do. Unfortunately, the spaceports are not put under control of the AI. So I can still come in here, and I'm still going to be forced to build the stuff. I'm not going to have, my sector produce me a fleet for me. That's still something you have to micromanage, but it's alright. And you'll have to start creating sectors eventually because you have a limit to how many planets you can directly control. So you start with a base of 5, and then it depends on technology and government type that you have. And our leaders are gaining levels from researching things. Yay! Go scientists.
Incoming transmission.
Oh, sure. Let's trade star charts. There, so now we can see all this stuff. Alright. And we've learned a lot from all this, and hopefully you've learned enough that you can start off your own little star empire and make it grow into something amazing. Yeah. Apparently he doesn't care that much about growth. What a jerk AI. Anyway, so as I said though, keep in mind, once you give a planet over to a sector, you have to either recall it if you want to change it. I can no longer click and drag, I can no longer build. The planet itself is entirely under control of an AI. And you will have to do that, and the vast majority of your empire will be under control of the AI. So, do try and keep that in mind. And I think that's going to be it. So thank you everybody for watching this tutorial. Sorry it ran on a little long, but the game is large and complicated, and full of terrors. I've been your lovely host, Calvin, signing off.